Welcome to another Kevin's English School's English learning video. Scene script. Are you one of many who gets tripped up by your and your? It's a common mix-up, but we have a simple solution for you. Let's start with your. Your is possessive. It's used to show ownership or relationship, indicating that something belongs to you. Think of your as a tag, a label you can stick on things that belong to you. For instance, your bag, your cat, or your idea. Each of these examples indicates something that belongs to you. On the other hand, your is a contraction. It's a way of squishing two words together to make them shorter and faster to say. Your is a combination of you and are. So whenever you mean to say you are, you can use your. For example, you're funny, you're late, or you're going to love this. In each case, your stands for you are. Now that we have the basics down, let's see these words in action. Imagine someone says, "You're beautiful." This sentence doesn't make sense because your is looking for something to own, but there's nothing to own in this sentence. Now, if we change your to your, the sentence becomes "you're beautiful." Now it makes perfect sense because your means you are. Another example, "Your coat is over there." This sentence is incorrect because your stands for you are, which doesn't fit in this context. But if we change your to your, it becomes "your coat is over there." Now it's clear that the coat belongs to you. These words may look similar, but they serve different functions. It's easy to mix them up, but with a little practice, you can master the difference. So remember, your is a contraction of you are, and your shows possession. It's as simple as that. English tenses can be a bit of a headache, but don't worry, we've got your back. If we imagine language as a time machine, English tenses are the gears that let us travel through past, present, and future. We have three simple tenses: past, present, and future. Each one helps us to express when an action occurs. Let's start with the past tense. It's like stepping into a photo album filled with memories. We use the past tense to talk about actions that happened before now. For instance, I ate an apple. Here, the action of eating is completed, it's in the past. Now let's hop back into our time machine and return to the present. The present tense is used to describe things that are happening right now, or things that are continuous. So if you're currently munching on an apple, you'd say, "I am eating an apple." But what if you're planning to have an apple for dessert? That's where the future tense comes into play. It's like looking into a crystal ball. For this, you'd say, "I will eat an apple." The action hasn't happened yet, but it's going to. However, English tenses aren't always that straightforward. Sometimes we use the present tense to talk about the future, like when we say, "I am eating an apple tomorrow." And we can use the past tense to be polite, as in, "I was wondering if you could help me." It's like a puzzle, isn't it? But don't worry. The English language is a fascinating labyrinth, and it's okay to get lost sometimes. The more you explore, the more familiar you'll become with its twists and turns. Remember, English tenses help us navigate through time. To get them right, the key is to match the tense with when the action is happening. Is it in the past, present, or future? Once you've figured that out, you're one step closer to mastering English tenses. Keep in mind, the tense should match the time when the action is happening. Practice makes perfect. Prepositions can be tricky, but they're easier than you think. Let's tackle them together. Prepositions, in essence, are the glue that holds sentences together, linking words and phrases to create a coherent narrative. They're like the GPS of grammar, guiding us through the sentences. So, what exactly is a preposition? It's a word that shows the relationship of a noun or a pronoun to another word in the sentence. They often answer questions like where or when or in what way. Let's take a few common prepositions like on, in, and at as examples. On is often used for surface contact. For instance, if you say, "The book is on the table," on helps express the relationship between the book and the table. In is commonly used to show something contained or enclosed. If we say, "The apples are in the basket," in indicates that the apples are contained within the basket. At is typically utilized to denote a specific point or place. For example, "Meet me at the park," where at is used to specify the location where the meeting is to occur. It's important to remember that prepositions can also indicate time. For instance, "I'll see you in the morning," where in tells us the time when the meeting will happen. As you can see, these small words play a big role in our language. They help us understand where things are, when events happen, and how elements in a sentence relate to each other. Prepositions can be a bit challenging to master, especially since there are so many of them, and their usage can sometimes overlap. But don't worry, with time and practice you'll get the hang of it. Remember, practice makes perfect. So don't shy away from using them in your daily conversations. Experiment with different prepositions and see how they change the meaning of your sentence. And here's a little tip. Try to visualize the sentence in your mind. Often the physical or temporal relationship the preposition is trying to express can be easier to understand when you picture it. Remember, prepositions show direction, location, or time. They're small words with big jobs. Modal verbs might sound complicated, but they're actually quite simple. Let's unravel the mystery. Dive into the English language with me, and we'll discover the magic of modal verbs. They're like little linguistic chameleons, changing their meaning based on the context. And here's a fun fact. There are only 9 of them in English. These special verbs include can, could, may, might, will, would, shall, should, and must. Now let's break it down. These verbs are called modal because they modify the meaning of the main verb that follows them. They're like the special sauce that adds flavor to your sentences, helping you express ability, possibility, permission, or obligation. Take can, for example. It's a versatile verb that can show ability, like in the sentence, I can swim, or permission, as in, you can go to the party. Similarly, might is a handy verb to express possibility, as in, it might rain today. Then there are the obligation verbs like must and should. When you say you must finish your homework, it's a strong obligation. But if you say you should finish your homework, it's a lighter recommendation. See the difference? Now, you might be wondering, what about will and would? Well, these are future modal verbs. Will is used to talk about future events that are certain, like, I will start work at 9. Would, on the other hand, is used to talk about hypothetical situations like, I would travel if I had more money. And what about shall? It's less common in everyday conversation, but you'll find it in formal writing or in legal documents. It's used to make offers or suggestions like, shall we dance? So there you have it. Modal verbs are not so mysterious after all. They're just the secret ingredients that make your English sentences more dynamic and expressive. So modal verbs help us express how we view the world. They're like the seasoning in the language soup. Well, we've covered a lot today. Let's recap what we've learned. Our journey began on the slippery slope of your and your. Remember, your is possessive. It's something that belongs to you. On the other hand, your is a contraction of you are. A tiny apostrophe makes a world of difference, doesn't it? Then we dived into the trouble with tenses. We made sense of the simple tenses, past, present, and future. We learned that the past is used for actions completed in the past, the present for actions happening now or general truths, and the future for actions that will happen. It's all about timing. We also unraveled the mystery of prepositions. These tiny words show direction, location, or time. To, at, in, on, be. These are just a few examples. Remember, prepositions always come before a noun or pronoun to show its relationship with the rest of the sentence. Next, we demystified modal verbs. These helping verbs express necessity, possibility, permission, or ability. Can, could, may, might, shall, should, will, would, must. These are the magical models that add layers of meaning to our sentences. Take a moment to appreciate how much you've learned. We've taken complex grammar rules and broken them down into simple, digestible explanations. We've used animated examples to illustrate different grammar concepts, and we've done it all to the beat of some fantastic upbeat pop music. But remember, this is just the beginning. English grammar is a vast ocean, and we've only dipped our toes in. Keep practicing these concepts and soon they'll become second nature. And don't worry if you make mistakes along the way. Mistakes are proof that you're trying, and every mistake is a step closer to mastery. Remember, English grammar might seem complex, but with a bit of patience and practice, you'll master it in no time.